chairperson of the Tuscaloosa County Democratic Party. I'm joined by Murray Silverstone, a parent of a student entering kindergarten at Rock Quarry Elementary, Reverend Schmidt Moore of the Tuscaloosa County Board of Education, and Mr. Marvin Lucas of the Tuscaloosa City Board of Education. We gathered today in front of the once revered Central High School to say that the way forward is not to abandon Alabama's public schools, but rather give these institutions the support and resources they need to thrive. Central has been in the news recently, and rightly so. The feature of an ESPN special that illustrates how fine the line is between having a thriving school and a struggling school. Central now finds itself on Alabama's underperforming or failing school list, a byproduct of the Alabama Accountability Act. Tomorrow in Montgomery, legislators in the House of Representatives will again take up a bill that has an even greater potential to rob Alabama's public schools of two of their most precious resources, money and qualified teachers, all in the name of so-called school reform. If legislators were concerned with school reform, they should expend the necessary resources to bring schools like Central High School back to the top of the state's academic charts. Rather than this, a competing school is being debated. A school that has loose parameters around teaching qualifications, academic materials that are to be taught, and the rights of employees, as well as the rights of local school boards. Today you'll hear a narrative, the story of the expected impact charter schools will place upon our Tuscaloosa City and county school systems. To knit together that narrative, we have a cross-section of our community: parents, school board members, teachers, and yes, political parties. We hope that the story told here will catch the eyes and ears of citizens everywhere and expose the fatal flaws this bill contains and the havoc it will wreak on Alabama's existing public schools should it pass. Mr. Silverstone will speak first.
My name is Murray Silverstone. My wife Laura and I are the proud parents of a young 5-year-old boy, Sydney, and we're expecting a daughter in the next 2 weeks. When we moved to Tuscaloosa, we were fortunate enough to buy a house in the Rock Quarry Elementary, Middle, and Northridge High School zone. We knew our adopted community was proud of the achievements and the dedication of the teachers and administrators in our district schools. This August, Sydney will join the children of our neighbors and friends in the Tuscaloosa Public School, Rock Quarry Elementary. We're excited that he'll begin his journey through public education, a journey that has been so valuable to myself and my wife in our development into well-educated members of society. However, we fear the schools Sydney will be entering will be vastly different from the schools that children are attending now. Key difference is school funding. As many of you are aware, the voters of Tuscaloosa just renewed a 30-year, $26.2 million a year tax that funds the Tuscaloosa City and County schools. We in the city and county value the tax dollars invested in the future through the education of our children. Yet over the next 5 years, the state of Alabama wants to add 61 new schools to our state by means of a new paradigm, that of charter schools. These charter schools will take money away from the schools currently in the Tuscaloosa public systems, including high-performing yet underfunded schools such as Rock Quarry Elementary. At the same time, it'll also take money from underperforming schools that desperately need the additional level of funding to sustain programs. We, the voters of Tuscaloosa City and County, have already spoken to the need for dedicated administrators, teachers, and tax-paying citizens to further the successes of our public schools. Our 30-year renewal of the education property tax is clearly not a mandate to cut the funding in favor of a venture that has led to corruption, waste, and reductions in available funds to public schools in many other states. I know my neighbors fear the effect of lost school funding on property values in my district, in addition to the impact on the futures of all our children. The bill passed by the Alabama Senate opens charter schools funded by the city and county taxpayers to any resident of Alabama. It also directly threatens the currently underfunded community schools of Tuscaloosa with closure by allowing funds needed by these schools to be diverted to educating students from outside our district. And it does not end there. The teaching staff at these new charter schools do not need to have teaching certificates. Anyone in the education service provider sees fit can be hired to teach my 5-year-old son and his classmates. Those who advocate charter schools seem to think that an astronomer and a physicist such as myself will be able to walk into these schools and teach 5-year-olds. I am up to the challenge of teaching college students, but I do not have the specialized skills necessary to teach young children. Who will be teaching the kids in these elementary schools? Do we want university professors trying to teach 5-year-olds? We must demand that teachers who guide the education of our children be trained and knowledgeable in the duties they perform. I would insist on having a medical doctor diagnose my illness or a trained car mechanic to fix my car. Why would we ever allow the most precious resource, our children, to be taught by underqualified employees? At the very least we can expect is that our teachers in the public schools of Alabama be required to have a teaching certificate carrying the full faith and credit of the state of Alabama. We must defend our district schools against those who seek to spend our taxpayer dollars on any state resident who wishes to attend our schools, to drain our community's resources, and to allow anyone to come in from the street to teach our children. There is no data to support the state's plan to reform our city and county schools by adding charter schools. Instead, the data shows that charter schools are, at best, a lot of trouble for no gain, and at worst, an economic disaster. We must ask ourselves why the Alabama Senate seeks to undermine the system that is demonstrating ongoing improvement educating our children. Please join me and my wife in urging those in the state legislature, especially Representative Bill Poole, District 61, and Senator Greg Reed of District 5, who represent Rock Quarry Elementary, Middle, and Northridge High Schools, to vote no on SB 45. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray. Next speaking is Tanya Young Anderson, teacher Tanya Anderson Young, a teacher at University Place Elementary School and president of our City Teachers Association.
Hi, my name is Tanya Anderson Young, and I'm a second grade teacher at University Place Elementary School in Tuscaloosa City Schools. Any workplace in which employees are not properly compensated and provided job security creates an atmosphere of low expectations and minimum effort. This is only a compound when the employee has no expectations. This is exactly the situation we are facing with the prospect of charter schools. The teaching staff at these schools do not have to follow the state course of study. This creates a situation in which the teaching staff is free to teach what they want, when they want. They can be experimental or even controversial and create any type of course that they desire. Yet at the same time, school managers, called education service providers, will be chosen in a hyper-political environment are evaluating these staff members. Dynamics such as these at any level lead to high teacher turnover and inconsistency in the program. That is why millions of highly qualified and certified teachers across the nation take comfort in the workplace protection policies that provide due process rights for educators and empower us to stand up for what is right and negotiate with our supervisors to create coexistence between management and labor. In addition, charter schools can prevent employers from being a member of the Teachers Retirement System and the Public Education Employees Health Insurance Program, PHIP. This is one thing that remotely makes up for the low salaries teachers live with in our benefits that serve as part of our compensation plan. Some who are employed at charter schools will not even receive this most basic benefits. It is disgrading that the state of Alabama is considering creating schools at which untrained and non-certified individuals can walk into a second grade classroom such as mine, call themselves a teacher, and teach whatever they want with no grounds and developmental appropriate standards. In addition, that individual who will have a tremendous difficult job will not have a compensation package comparable with every other education employee in the state and with no workplace protection. Therefore, as the president of Professional Educators of Tuscaloosa, I ask each of the representatives and senators we sent to Montgomery to vote no on this destructive bill. We send you there to protect the best interests of our home district and state. We ask you to do that today by protecting our community schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Next would be Reverend Schmidt Moore of the Tuscaloosa County Board of Education.
Thank you very much. I'm deeply concerned. I believe that as the charter bill is constructed, that we will certainly be standing on a slippery slope that's going to be dangerous for public education in Alabama, and that concerns me greatly. As many of you already know, the Tuscaloosa County school system struggles to fully fund our existing public schools. Dr. Swinford, our superintendent, has done an excellent job of finding creative avenues and grants to help bring our school district some additional revenue. We are also grateful to the voters of Tuscaloosa County schools for renewing our tax referendum, providing the Tuscaloosa County schools with about $2 additional million a year. However, there is very little we can do about new schools being added to the Educational Trust Fund each year, taking even more money from an already limited part of funding. For each charter school created, which they estimate at 11 the first year and 10 per year the following years, we are looking at upward to 60 new schools in Alabama over 5 years. This is 60 additional school buildings, 6 additional staffs, administrations, school supplies, power and water bills that will need to be paid for. All of that money will come out of the Education Trust Fund that's already in short demand. This will hurt every school in Alabama. It will hurt a thriving school like Northport Primary, who will just flatly receive less money next year and may even be placed in a situation to lose teaching units. It will hurt struggling schools like Davis Emerson in my district. The teachers and administrators do everything they can to engage parents and community, but it is difficult. These schools feel that they're doing all they can do to make things work, and it's very important for us to know that as the rate we're going now with charter schools, we would certainly be in trouble for the future. Another concern that I have is that there is no school attendance zone requirement in this law. This means children from anywhere in the state may attend any charter school. In fact, that law states a public charter school shall be open to any student residing in the state. This, on top of the lack of local control and local school boards, is greatly concerning. The bill again states, in order to overrule the decision of a local school board and authority, a public charter school, the intention is there to create charter school with or without consent. And so it is a great concern, I say again, that this charter school bill puts public education in Alabama on a very slippery slope, and I think that's dangerous for the future.
Thank you, Reverend Moore. Next would be Mr. Marvin Lucas of the Tuscaloosa City Board of Education.
Thank you for this opportunity to talk about charter schools in the state of Alabama and the Tuscaloosa City schools. As you've heard already, that deferring any money from public schools is going to hurt our system. It's not going to hurt our system, but it's going to hurt every system in the state of Alabama. It's important that we make sure that any bill like this is thoroughly looked at prior to making sure we go out there, getting the support of the people, not just the support of our legislators in Montgomery and a few people who are deeply wanting to push this for public sake. Not public sake as far as our public children or our students, but for other financial gains and reasons they want to do this. Alabama has a great public school system that's building and increasing and doing better. Our students here in Tuscaloosa and around here have really increased and going better. We do not support this bill that's out there. And we ask you as the citizens to please call upon your legislators today. Please ask them, we need you to vote no on these bills. Thank you.
As you have seen, today the passage of this bill will only create further stress upon the schools of Alabama, including Tuscaloosa. School boards will lose authority, and each school in Alabama will lose money, and perhaps the most startling, teachers who teach in these schools are not required to be certified. In an interview last night on Fox 6 News, Representative Terry Collins of Morgan County stated, a lot of retired engineers and people with high quality math skills and all, and so it might be that some of them might, after they retire, might like to work in the school system. but not want to get a whole other education degree. As you've heard today, people who have dedicated a life to teaching have gone that extra mile, have went and gotten a college education, been trained in developmentally appropriate standards. And she's saying that a retired engineer can come in and do that as well as a trained teacher. Can a retired engineer go in and teach in a pre-K kindergarten, first grade classroom? We say no. And this is ironic coming from Republicans, whereas just a little over 10 years ago, Republican President George Bush signed a bill called No Child Left Behind that forced thousands of Alabama teachers to go back to college to get additional training to become highly qualified. And now the Alabama Republican Party and the representatives down there want to water down teacher training and water down what constitutes a trained teacher. We as the Democratic Party of Tuscaloosa saw a disconnect. On one side, you had 2 school districts in our county, parents and teachers. On the other side is the legislators. We hope to show citizens and lawmakers a wide array of concerns our community have about charter schools, as well as the fatal flaws contained in this bill. Today we have sent a copy of a resolution stating the Tuscaloosa County Democratic Party's formal opposition to Senate Bill 45. This has gone to the entire Tuscaloosa County delegation in the Alabama Legislature. We urge them to vote no on this bill and urge students, parents, teachers, and citizens to call your area legislator and tell them, hands off of our community schools, vote no on Senate Bill 45. Any questions for anybody?
Can you speak to a little bit about what being here at Central High School in your district means to you, and how this school might be further affected by the passage of SB 45?
Well, in the school district, by Central High School being one of the schools on the what the states call the failing list, it still could be forced to be considered a charter school. We know that Dr. Sutton and his team and his staff at the school has done a tremendous job in increasing the graduation rate, moving its test scores up, and everything is looking great. It's a program that's working and they are being successful. If the state feels so much with the charter schools, give us the freedom that they give to the charter schools to do in our schools and take all those restrictions they have upon us on public schools away, just like you're taking them away on charter schools. And we could even do even much better.
Thank you.
Josh, any other questions?
No, we're good. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank y'all for coming out.
Okay. Thank you.